Essays with few or no citations will raise the concern of the lecturers. Students should take advantage of the online internet before attending the lecture. Fishing is a sport and a means for surviving. Please sort and order the slides of the presentation according to your topic and speech time. You need to read the chapter before the management class. Applications for the course have a preference over English or journalism. In the 1880s, cycling became a major phenomenon in Europe. Contemporary commentators dismissed his idea as eccentric. Essays with few or no citations will be regarded as invalid. The university has a number of scholarships that students can apply for.
But Aristotle says the reason we need rhetoric is we have to be able to use it. We have to be able to use rhetoric influence, basically, the rebel, and the morons. We try to get them to understand truth. Truth is suggested, is different than rhetoric. Rhetoric is the dressing, is the body, right? Truth is the spirit, is the soul, is abstract. It doesn't have a body. It's not particular. If you want to get somebody to the truth, you might have to use some kind of tricks, right? Because most people are not sound and can't see the truth. That's what we think. Most people are ramble. Really. Only the educated be erudite are actually capable of seeing the truth. If you want to get the general mass there, you may have to do fable a little bit. So Aristotle, that is rhetoric. Rhetoric is something that is used to influence people, right? And it's a kind of mentally promised logic.
A language dies when the last person who speaks it dies. But you know, sometimes people say it dies when the second last person who speaks it dies, because then the last person has nobody to talk to. Well, of course, languages have come and gone throughout history as communities have come and gone. But what's happening now is something really quite extraordinary. Well, there are about 6,000 languages in the world at the moment, more or less. Nobody knows the exact number. And of these, people think that about half of them are so seriously endangered that they're likely to die out in the course of the present century. Now, the present century is 100 years, half is 3,000 languages, so that means one language is dying out somewhere in the world, on average, every 2 weeks. There are all kinds of reasons why languages die. One is the physical reasons, when people are affected by famine and disease and earthquake. Another is genocide, when some countries deliberately try and stamp out a small language. But the main reason is globalization. That is, there are some huge languages in the world like English and Arabic and Spanish and French, and these are like steamrollers, crushing the smaller languages that they find in their path. A great deal can be done to preserve an endangered language. The first thing is that the people themselves must want the language to be preserved. That's very important. The second thing is that the powers that be must want the language to be preserved. They must have a respect for the minority languages that are in their care. And the third thing that has to be there, of course, is cash. It costs quite a lot of money to preserve an endangered language. Think about it. You have to train the teachers, you have to write books for the children, and all that sort of thing. It doesn't cost an extraordinary amount of money, but it does cost a bit. So without money, endangered languages don't have a positive future.
These were the very first robots. They were characters in a play in the 1920s called Rossum's Universal Robots. And the play was written by a Czech writer called Karel Čapek. And basically, these robots, you know, people tend to think of robots as kind of cute, cuddly toys, or, you know, Hollywood depictions kind of devoid of politics. But the first robots were actually created and imagined in a time of absolute political turmoil. You just had the First World War, you know, finished. That had a devastating impact across Europe. And so people were kind of reflecting on what does it mean to be human, what makes us human, those kind of questions. And this kind of context is what inspired Čapek to kind of write this play. And interestingly, these robots being human, they are actually in the play assembled on a production line, a bit like the Ford manufacturing production line. So even though they are human, they are assembled, and these robots are designed to labour, and that is their primary purpose in society.
Where can you normally find the index in a book? What subject involves the study of the periodic table? What rises from the east in the morning and sets to the west in the evening every day? What is the magazine that is dedicated to academic news? What is the collection of comma, period, colon, exclamation marks, and question marks? Where do people watch plays? What is the act of students being present at school? What is the short piece of music that comes before a longer piece, and is often used as an introduction. What is the ground military forces? Apart from addition, subtraction, and division, what is the other mathematical calculation method?